1. Welcome to the May 14th Standing Committee of Public and Protective Services. On this committee is myself, Chair Michael Connor, Councillor Wendy Bosch, Councillor O'Toole, and Mayor Clayton. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And I'll do the land acknowledgement. The city respectfully acknowledges the Beaver, Cree, Dene, and Métis people as the original caretakers of these lands and surrounding areas. We are grateful to live, learn, work, and play on treaty-aid territory within Turtle Island and acknowledge these lands as being home to diverse and sovereign First Nations and Inuit nations since time immemorial. I'd like a motion for adoption of the agenda. Councillor Bosch. Call the question.
Mayor Clayton in favor.
That's carried unanimously. And now we will go to the delegation portion of the meeting. And our first delegation up is 4.1 Grande Prairie Regional Sport Connection and Karna Germsheid. When you get up to the mic, please introduce yourself, and then the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. My name is Karna Germsheid. I am the Executive Director for the Grande Prairie Regional Sport Connection. Today I'm here to talk about our 2023 funding, and I thought I'd actually open up with, I feel like a lot of you are familiar with what we are doing, but not so much why, or I thought I'd just make a quick reminder of why we're doing in my 5-minute presentation. So our resource center supports sport in the Grande Prairie region. And the reason we exist is because sport is generally run by volunteers, volunteers that are running these organizations, offering great services to our community. They're doing it on the side of their desks generally, and they're generally very engaged, busy individuals. Every sport organization has volunteers with different levels of skills. Some organizations just don't have the time or the skill set to be marketing themselves or building their organizations or putting together events or looking for understanding where to look for money and so on and so forth. The concept of having a sport resource center is that if we have support for those organizations and our sport organizations can be stronger, they can offer more events more often and they can offer increased services to our community. So therefore, we're like a lever in the sport community, trying to figure out how we can build capacity within that army of volunteers to increase that level of service delivery and therefore the social and economic impact in our region. We do this by capacity building. So those of you that are familiar with the Grande Prairie Regional Try It Day, we run this signature event twice a year. And this event from the outside looking in looks like a great event to support sport, a great event for kids to explore different types of sport. But the actual laser sharp intention of this event is for us to put as many kids as we can through our sport organizations to help them convert them into members. And that's the intention of this event. In our Winter Try It Day event, we had 708 registered, 40 participating sport organizations or other organizations. We do have partnerships with physical activity organizations and 40 different activities. So not insignificant at any means. Northwest Alberta Sport Excellence Awards is our recognition evening. We like to highlight our volunteers, our coaches, our athletes, and businesses that support the sport in the region. It's a really well-attended event, and in 2023, we had 40 nominees come in 12 different categories. 11 different categories with 16 different sports represented under one roof. It's really wonderful for different sports to be able to see what other people are doing and how they're doing it, and it's a really special evening. Our Try It Day in June that we held in 2023 had 574 registrants, 27 participating organizations, and 35 different activities offered. And in 2023, we actually had a really exciting year in that we rebranded our website. So we did a complete overhaul of our website. And one of the big exciting things that we added to our website to increase the capacity of what we're able to do is a sport registration list. A lot of the questions we get from the community is, I missed that registration. When is this registration? Or what sports can I register at this time? Sports is, since it's run by volunteers, it's inconsistent. So through the years, we've struggled with things like this and wondering how we can do it because it's never the same every single year. So we are chasing sport organizations and information all the time, but how can we be consistent to the community and give them information and put them in the right direction and support our sport organizations? So this sport registration list doesn't have exact dates, but it's listed through months. So if I'm a parent looking to register my kid in the month of June in something, I can literally go to this database, drop down June, and it will show the different sport organizations that have registration open on that. Alternatively, if I'm looking specifically for one sport, for basketball, I can go to basketball and then it will list all the different times of year that basketball has an intake for membership. So it's been a really great resource for our community, and it's just another way that we can support the sport community. A year at the glance. So on the upper right-hand side, we have 4,387. That is the number of times that sport registration list was reached out to from the public. 262 is the amount of touch points that received from the community. So these are phone calls that are coming in, emails that are coming in that one time. So if I have an organization coming in and they need support in something, they would count as a touch point. So recognizing that this would multiply tremendously. But this is the first time somebody reaches out to us for support. We rebranded our website and our actually look and feel as a two-person organization run by 10 volunteer board members. It's really important for us to, be the gold level standard so that people do trust that they can come to us for support when they need support. And we need to do big things and be really intentional in what we're doing. So we want that to look to be part of our brand, but also we want to be approachable. So if you notice, we do use bright colors, we do use fun text so that people feel approachable. And that's why we changed our organization from the Sport Council to the Sport Connection, because it's all about being approachable and being there, being the first point of contact for people that need support. $37,500 is how much grants we supported in bringing from outside the community into the community. 1,005 is that's the number of shares we got through our Facebook page, and 33,342 is the number of engagements for Facebook. So we've got really strong online engagement, again, increasing our capacity and our ability to communicate with large amounts of people at one time. And that is a wrap, and I just want to say thank you so much for your ongoing support. We do love doing what we're doing. It's a very rewarding little organization, and we appreciate the ongoing support.
Thank you, Ms. Germsheid. Any questions of Karna? Seeing none, you've done an excellent job. Thank you very much for your annual report.
Thank you, everyone.
And we'd like to invite up the 4.2 South Peace Regional Archives. And we'll have them set up, and please introduce yourselves.
Hello, thank you for having us today. So my name is Ellyn Vandekerkhove. I'm the Executive Director of the South Peace Regional Archives, and with me is Janice Shields, who is the President of the South Peace Regional Archives Society.
Welcome.
Thank you. All right, so very briefly going through 2023 for us. So I wanted to begin just by introducing who we are and what we do. So the purpose of the South Peace Regional Archives is to gather, preserve, and share the historical records within our region, both now and in the future. And we strive to add value to people's lives by increasing their understanding and appreciation of the past. So what this looked like in kind of like brief numbers funding-wise, so we received $72,278 from the city of Grande Prairie. I won't go through all of our different numbers, but they're there for you. So how that works within our organization is 68% of our funding goes towards staffing costs. So we have 3 permanent staff members, which is 2 full-time and 1 part-time. 27% goes to our programs and services, and an additional 5% is equipment and supplies, which by that we do mean like office supplies, but also the archival supplies needed for preservation. So our year at a glance, we had kind of several big successes, the biggest one being that we began our renovation project in Center 2000 to relocate the archives from where we had started in 2000 in the Grande Prairie Museum into Center 2000. So this was a massive undertaking that was many years in the making, both from ourselves, the city, and also Center 2000. So this was a very exciting, intimidating change for us. We also launched our new website, which increased our digital presence and accessibility. So obviously, preserving records is great, but accessibility is the purpose for why we do that. If no one can access them, there's not really a purpose. So we revamped our website to make it more user-friendly, make it easier for people to find resources. So now it has several different research guides, all of our finding aids, and 14 different working databases for whatever research topic you might need. Kind of our 2 big challenges for the year were, first off, just trying to continue to work in the museum space while this renovation project was happening. Our physical space was well above capacity, so we were having to do things like delay donations. So we had to ask several donors to hold on to their records until after we moved because we literally didn't have a space left to put them. So we prioritized things that were either urgent, so for whatever reason they could not safely stay where they were, or were very small. And we also just had the increased cost and capacity issues of trying to work out of multiple locations at the same time, kind of during this relocation process. So initially we had the Grande Prairie Museum location, our offsite storage, and Center 2000. But with the help of the Center 2000 and City, we were able to decrease that by 1 and close our offsite storage slightly earlier and continue moving forward that way. So given all these circumstances, we were still able to accept more than 30 different donations, which we were quite happy with. We received 332 reference requests. So reference requests are members of the public reaching out for information. So for us, that means either a remote research request. So we do offer 30 minutes of free research assistance for any historical project. Or that is people coming in person to conduct research or requesting digitization of a record. Our social media and website remain our 2 big points of connection. So we had a social media reach of 92,821 this year, which is a 12% increase compared to last year. And our website reached just over 60,000 people. We had 2 exhibits up in the Grande Prairie Museum, which were seen by just over 17,000 visitors. And our events and programs had 2,691 people attend. So I just briefly wanted to touch in these few minutes on kind of how the work we're doing is lining up with the goals of the city. So under quality of life, fierce community pride, we are the only public access archives in Northern Alberta, which means this is somewhere where community members can directly contribute to their own history and access it. Being able to access your history within your own community helps build that like community feeling that supports understanding of one another. So we feel that's really important towards building pride in this area. Under inclusive, caring communities, we do strive always to highlight the diversity of peoples who have always contributed to our community. Often people of color, Indigenous peoples, women, their historical contributions are not always as recognized or as known. So by trying to increase understanding and awareness of how they help to build this community, we also help to increase understanding and awareness of how they continue to contribute today. Under innovating efficiencies and economic readiness, attraction. So our programs and events contribute to the culture and heritage landscape of our community. We work really hard with various different community partners to support their work and programming. We also work with a lot of different community partners to assist them with preservation that they might not otherwise be able to do for their own organizations, and also to make their own histories accessible back to them more efficiently, so kind of support their work in that way. Before I wrap up, I did just want to also briefly touch on an update for our current relocation project. So we will be officially opening to the public in Center 2000 on May 22nd, 2024, which is a week from tomorrow. You will see in the financial reports that I submitted that there is a section in there called Other Income and Expense, and those were the income and expense for the renovation project. We separated out that capital project because of some of the grant requirements from the federal and provincial grants that we received. And that was funded in part by the City of Grande Prairie's program as well. So in the end, we were able to raise just over a $1 million project budget. So the renovations have been under work since September and are almost done. There's always those last few hiccups right at the end. But we're very excited to be able to reopen and resume our services next week.
Oh, thank you very much, Miss Vandekerkhove. I'm sorry.
Don't worry, I have a hard name and an identical twin sister, so I answer to pretty much anything at this point.
Thank you very much. I practiced it 3 times, still failed. Thank you, Ellyn. Any questions, Councillor Bosch?
Good morning. Thank you for the report. I just had a quick question in regards to where you showed your funding sources. You had internally generated $5,600. I'm just curious, what do you do? Do you do events that people should know about?
Yes, so we do events and programs. So the biggest program in that is we run cemetery tours every summer. So there is a small admission fee charged for a cost recovery basis on that, which raised, I think, just under $2,000 of that amount. The other, we do events, we partner with, for example, the city on folktales, but that doesn't come into our revenue. The other portions of that is we do have a gift shop. So we have published and sell several history books on local history. We have our subscription for our quarterly history magazine. That is the history of the South Piece. Each issue is a different historical topic or theme. And then we also have a portion of that last year was also interest, just because we do have a contingency fund. So the interest from that, interest levels were higher than average last year. So we had slightly more income from that than average.
Great to hear, and congratulations on your move.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor O'Toole?
Just got one question. Now that you got everything in the new facility, is there room to expand?
There is. So I hope that you guys will all have a chance to come and see our location. So we do have like an opening event. And also if anyone would like a tour, just let me know. We're happy to show it off. Our vault, which is where the actual collection storage is 7 times the size of the one that we had at the Grande Prairie Museum. So currently at the Grande Prairie Museum, it was completely full and we couldn't process any more records into that. So we have almost as many records waiting to go into the vault as are currently in there. But even with that, we still have like 3 times the space that we had before that is empty currently to start accepting those large donations. If we continue at our current rate of growth based on the last 20 years of operations, we expect it will last us another 20 years.
Excellent. That's great news. Thanks very much.
No problem.
Just follow up if there's no one else. I noticed that you have free 30 minutes of research available. Do you charge over and above that? And is that a fundraising or helping the operations? And what kind of dollars does that look like?
So we technically say that we have 30 minutes of free research assistance. Beyond that, we charge $25 per half hour. But how that actually shakes out is we only are talking about remote research requests. So if people are coming in person to research, there's no charge for that, for us helping them or pulling information or anything like that. The only time in the 3 years that I've been working there that we actually charged that was for a university professor who required like 8 hours of research because they were on the other side of Canada and couldn't come in person. So it was part of their grant funding. We don't time it very specifically. So when we say a half hour, that's just kind of a benchmark, I'll be honest. We aren't, if it's an extra 15 minutes or something, we won't charge for that. And that's just to help with the staff costs for the person who's conducting the research.
Well, thank you very much. If there's no other questions, thank you very much, Ms. Vandekerkhove.
Vandekerkhove.
Thank you.
Took me years.
Thank you, Jan. And thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you.
All right, thanks again for having us, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
And now we'll go to item number 5, our service area update by Chief Dan Lemieux.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'll start with the Grande Prairie Police Service. Municipal Police Commission Dan Chair and GPPS Police Chief Lacusta will be providing a quarterly update to this committee on May 28th, so 2 weeks from today. Mobile outreach. In April, mobile outreach caseworkers supported 30 individuals in securing identification using funding from the Reaching Home grant. Needle mitigation worker has collected 908 needles at 158 different locations, so still a very valuable service there. And in terms of encampment response, mobile outreach continues proactive efforts to address encampments, including conducting 2 sweeps daily along Musco CP and Bear Creek corridor. This approach aims to ensure the safety and well-being of our community while also reducing the risk of wildfires. Update from the RCMP, Policing Committee Chair Wong and Superintendent Brockman will be providing a quarterly update at our May 28th meeting. So in 2 weeks from time, they'll be here to report. The RCMP Special Investigative Unit received information recently that an individual wanted on a Canada-wide warrant for child pornography offenses in Grande Prairie was in Chilliwack attempting to leave the country. The Chilliwack RCMP Serious Crimes Unit and GIS support team were able to track down the mail and execute the warrant. A resident of Grande Prairie has been arrested and charged with accessing child pornography and 3 counts of failure to comply with the Sex Offender Information Registry Act. So we're grateful to our partner agencies in BC who assisted with this investigation and with the apprehension of the accused. Update from the fire department. The first inaugural Camp Fire took place on May the 3rd to the 5th. It is a 3-day program that supports and empowers young women and gender-diverse communities from all backgrounds to enter the fire service. So we have 15 participants, ages 16 to 20 years old, that were selected for this event. And the fire department does strive to inspire, educate, and promote hands-on experiences that accurately depict the physical demands of the firefighter role. And survey results show that 60% of those participants are highly likely to consider a career in the fire service, and that for 33% of them, it is their goal to become a firefighter. So with fundraising efforts and successful grants, this Camp Fire is a free program for the participants and no cost to the department, and we'll continue to seek means of maintaining this free program. In terms of GPREP emergency management, as you may be aware, GPREP and the Grande Prairie Fire Department are actively involved in supporting the Cluskin Creek wildfire response. And GPREP hosted multiple training sessions this spring that help with that support activity. From Community Social Development, the FCSS, so that's the Family and Community Support Services Outcomes Report for 2023, shows that 15 community-funded programs are making a difference in our community. In 2023, the FCSS program supported 16,500 community residents, making this a 31% increase from the number in 2022, which was 12,585. So it's showing a substantial reach to our residents in the FCSS program. And the number of volunteers increased in our FCSS programs from 322 in 2022 to 352 in 2023. So that's an increase in 9.3% in terms of number of volunteers. Now, that being said, despite an increase in volunteering numbers, the volunteer hours fell from 18,228 in 2022 to 13,583 in 2023. So a significant reduction in number of hours that the volunteers are putting in. We're looking into that, but the reduction in hours suggests issues with retention or shorter volunteer engagements from our local volunteers, compounded by some growing complexity of social issues affecting volunteer availability. From Housing and Homeless Initiatives, with regards to encampment response, we are working with internal departments, including mobile outreach and parks, to support encampment response and cleanup, particularly within the Bear Creek corridor. And there are 2 green spaces that are currently being developed for Cedar Point. One space is dedicated to a common area for gardening, and the other is dedicated to Indigenous programming and ceremonial activities. From the Community Knowledge Campus in April, there was a notable increase in memberships for the Eastlink Centre and a Grand Access Pass compared to the previous month in March. And the Northern Lights Piranhas swim meet held May 3rd to the 5th welcomed over 350 athletes competing from across the province. And head counts in aquatics were nearly 500 at periods over that weekend, as we offered public swim at the same time as the meet. And a send-off celebration was held on May the 7th at the Eastlink Centre for 7 athletes from the Piranhas Swim Club members who have qualified for the 2024 Olympic trials that are happening in Toronto right now. So a real success story there for the Piranhas Swim Club. And a 3D Children's Charity annual fundraising event was held at the Hanson Lincoln Field on Friday, May the 10th, and over 1,250 athletes participated in outdoor soccer and ball hockey games all day from 8:30 to 8:30 p.m. And an additional 750 coaches, teachers, volunteer sponsors, and spectators made the event another huge success. And from the Sport Development, Wellness, and Culture Department, the National Aboriginal Hockey Championships wrapped up Saturday and were a huge success. Preliminary details include over 1,900 room nights for teams and over 10,000 YouTube views per day on the live stream. And we will have a full update that will be provided at a future committee meeting. And lastly, International Museum Day is taking place this Saturday, May the 18th, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. There will be free admission and free shuttles between the Grande Prairie Museum, the Boreal Wetlands Center, the Philip J. Curry Museum, and the Veterans Memorial Gardens and Interpretive Center. So I highly encourage you to participate and attend those events. And Mr. Chair, that's my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Chief Lemieux. Any questions for Chief Lemieux? You had a lot to report, so we will accept that. I need a motion to accept that report. I don't need one? Perfect. Okay, we'll go to 5.2, FireSmart Initiatives. And Chief Dan Lemieux.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. That's an item on our outstanding items list, and I'd like to invite Mr. Mike Anderson, the Deputy Chief of the Grande Prairie Fire Department, to provide the update for committee.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Anderson, and take it away. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just want to touch on a few things that's within the report presented this morning. We were successful with the Wildland FRIA grant, vegetation management. And this is a grant where we're able to do fuel modification in the South Bear Creek corridor, where we remove deadfall, thinning, pruning vegetation and disposing of debris. We have awarded the contract to Silvacom, and we did have our first project kickoff meeting where we looked at a project management plan, more importantly, that communications plan. And this project, we hope to be in the ground by June, and the project has to end by end of December for this year. We're also looking at in the process of another grant application for the that's been released this year from FREDA. It is the Fire Guard grant. We've applied for it, and basically what this grant is that we're going to be putting in fire guards in the South Bear Creek corridor. One of our biggest challenges with that area is access. So if there's a fire that does happen to start in there, it's very difficult for us to get in that area. So we're looking at having a fire guard and also using them as access points as well. So we're currently in that process. And this fall, we're going to be looking at the FireSmart or FireSmart non-vegetative grant. We weren't successful this year with it, so we're going to be reapplying for it in the fall. The recommendation that came back to us why we weren't successful was that our proposal was a fire prevention type program for wildfire that involved videos and actually having a person that be able to go out to some of the areas and homes that are higher risk and talk to individuals about how they can fire smart their home. The grant application adjudicators took a look at it, and they recommended actually we have a regional approach where we can kind of pool our resources together and work with the county. So we're going to take a look at those recommendations. And with that, I'd like to just open up to any questions that council may have.
Perfect. Any questions? Councillor Bosch.
Thank you. Thanks for the report, Mr. Anderson. My question is, I read in the report here, you're going to hire a summer student potentially for clearing of deadfall and vegetation, or is that part of this second grant?
We are hiring a summer student to help with the fire prevention pre-plan program.
Okay.
Yeah, and then any work that would be hired through here will be done through the free grants will be done through the consultant themselves.
The consultants will hire. And
Correct.
How many are they looking at potentially hiring?
I don't know.
Okay.
They're going to get back to us with that actual scope of work and what it's going to require, but they're going to be managing it for us.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Councillor O'Toole.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So far, so good. FireSmart Initiatives.
Yes.
At the end of December, what are we going to see changed with the removal of the deadfall and other things? Are we going to actually be cutting down live trees as well?
Through the chair, fire smarting process where you look at thinning of trees and debris and everything else. The primary focus is that deadfall. A lot through this area is what I kind of call 100 years of deadfall. So it hasn't been touched. There's deadfall in there and grass grows over top of it. A big part of that is removing those ladder fuels, is technically what they're called. And so they kind of take a look at that area, and they do kind of almost do a spatial analysis where it's like some of the smaller trees they might clean out. But the goal isn't to go in there and clear cut where you can see 30 meters into the bush.
I was just curious. Residents are loving their trees, but they also appreciate somebody protecting their house. So I just kind of know what kind of shock they're going to be in if they're going to notice something big, or is it going to sort of blend in kind of deal?
Yes, through the chair. We did do some immediate fire mitigation last year, where in some of the areas where the homes and the forest butted really close, we did a 30-meter thinning. And my understanding that the information I received, that residents actually found it positive because our forests are so dense that now actually you could see through a little bit and you could walk through and so, but I haven't received or heard of any complaints. So,
Well, thanks for making sure that happens because I think it's very well needed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Clayton.
Thanks, Chair O'Connor. Mr. Anderson, can you tell me again about, in regards to current home assessment and fire mitigation strategies? I may have misheard, but I understood that the fire department does do home visits and to look for fire safety. I know other communities have implemented this, and I thought in conversation, possibly through our FRIA grant, but other means, that there are homes being evaluated for fire smarting.
Through the chair, there is no homes that are being evaluated right now. Not to say that if a public did reach out that we would go out. A part of the second non-vegetative grant was a part of that process, and having a specific person that would be dedicated to go out preemptively, but also take those requests.
Thank you.
Thank you. And not normally do this, but I have to refer to Councillor Blackmore for her forestry knowledge. Go ahead.
Thank you, the chair, for allowing a non-committee member to speak. There are a couple of stands in the South Bear Creek Waxwing Trail area that are extremely dense. Is there a plan to thin those out somewhat? I don't know if you're familiar with that area or not, but there's a few stands that you'd be hard-pressed to slide a piece of paper into.
Yes, through the chair. So one of the things that we're using the consultant for is to take that 2019 wildfire plan, our operational needs, and then their expertise to prioritize those areas. So we have some areas that we identified as red that we need to take look at first through these grants. So I don't know if that specific area has been identified. And furthermore, it's really intricate when you talk to people that, that have the expertise in this area. They can go out and, they almost like look at the soil and throw it up in the air, and they say, this is the area that you have to, focus on. So we're just going to rely on them and map out over the next few years what our priorities and what we're going to do.
So you don't have that mapping plan in place yet. You're looking to do that.
We do. We want to reevaluate and embed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair O'Connor.
You're welcome. Seeing that there is business to be conducted, who would like to move? Ms. Bosch.
Thank you, Chair. I move the committee receive this report for information.
Okay, that is in order. Call the question.
Mayor Clayton in favor.
That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Mr. Anderson, thank you for your wonderful report. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, a little order. Okay, and we'll go to 5.3, community knowledge, and I'll go to Chief Lemieux.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'd like to ask Angela Redding, our director at the Community Knowledge Campus, and one of our staff to come and present the report on the annual survey for the Community Knowledge Campus.
Thank you very much. Once you get yourselves set up and you're all good to go, please introduce yourself for the camera.
I pretended I was tall. Good morning. Thank you, Chair O'Connor. My name is Angela Redding, and I am the director of the Community Knowledge Campus.
Good morning. I'm Ellyn. I'm the finance manager for the Community Knowledge Campus. The membership and growth portfolio reports through my area, and our interim incumbent recently accepted a position with the city's communications department. So I'm here to offer support with any questions.
All All right. In collaboration with the Public Engagement Communication Strategist, the interim Community Knowledge Campus Membership and Growth Coordinator conducted the CKC Campus Annual Survey in March 2024. The survey was comprised of 2 sections tailored for members and non-members, gathering feedback on various aspects of the CKC operations. The survey was aimed at gauging public satisfaction with amenities, membership value, and overall experiences at CKC. The survey employed various methods, including social media, media releases, in-person promotions, digital platforms, and email newsletters to engage a diverse range of community users of CKC, ensuring comprehensive feedback collection. A total of 666 respondents engaged in the survey, with 50% of the respondents falling into the 35 to 54 age category. The CKC annual survey findings serve as a valuable resource for enhancing the overall customer experience, refining amenities and programs, and strengthening community engagement at the CKC. By leveraging the insights from the report, the City of Grande Prairie can continue to uphold its commitment to providing excellent recreation opportunities and services for residents. Administration will address key findings from the survey and create actionable strategies that will continue to enhance the operations, improve user experience, and increase positive community impact through recreation. It is important to note that adopting some of these suggestions for improvement may entail budgetary considerations. These will require a careful evaluation of cost effectiveness and prioritization based on council priorities and overall community need. Financial impacts beyond the approved 2024 operating budget will be brought forward for consideration in the 2025 budget deliberations. After committee receives this report for information, the survey results from this public engagement will be made available to public via the Engage GP projects page. With that, administration recommends that the Public and Protective Services Committee receive the 2024 What We Heard CKC Annual Survey Report for information. That is the end of my report. We're happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Ellyn and Ms. Redding. Councillor Bosch.
Thank you for this report. Just reading the responses pieces, some of them read as individuals versus where it says the following summarizes the main themes. So these responses that are listed, is that from one person as they're written, or is it a collaboration of several that is written?
Thank you for the question through the chair. That is correct. So it was a summary of results that some of those themes would be specific to individuals who answered.
Okay. So it's more than the one. So for an example here, pre-COVID, I could use the hot tub in the morning and after a workout, and then it goes into, I can't do that anymore. That sounds like one individual to me when I read that. But is it like 10, or is it a theme that you're seeing?
So what we did is we took the answer or the percentages across the top and then highlighted some of the comments. So that would be from one individual, but the percentages would show those themes around satisfaction.
Okay, so that's an example. Okay, thank you.
And any other questions from the committee? And we're following a theme. Councillor Blackmore.
Chair O'Connor, maybe I could ask my question after you vote on this because it's slightly off topic.
Okay, I think that's in order. I'd like to. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Bosch.
One more question. How do you find this annual survey comparing this year and last year?
Thank you, through the chair. Comparing it to last year, we were here to present a change in the amenities or the membership offerings. That was where we introduced the GAP membership. So the survey last year related to some of the membership options, and we implemented those options, implemented the GAP membership. And so I would say that some of the feedback is still tied to the results from COVID, especially in the aquatics area. We've made significant ground in that area, but I would say that the feedback overall for user satisfaction related to value is coming along nicely.
Okay. And as far as the new program or the new membership, the GAP, I read in here that people are feeling that they don't know enough about it. Will there be more communication on that piece?
Thank you, through the chair. So most certainly we highlighted some opportunities for more communication and engagement. That will be something that administration looks at with our marketing and comms department.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mayor Clayton.
On your data sample, and maybe I'm missing it. There was a variety of ways that people could take the survey. Was there one that primarily stuck out? What percentage of the surveys were done in person, and what percentage were done online, for example?
Ooh, I didn't bring that information, but a majority of them would have been done online through the link. So when we emailed them out or provided the link on Facebook, so at some of the engagement sessions that we had, we would have a QR code that people could scan and do it in the moment, but that was only at one event. And so a majority of it would have been done online when we were driving it through social media.
And so you said you emailed them out. Did you email them? So you also emailed them to people with memberships?
Correct.
And I just, the demographics, I'm concerned a little bit of the validity of them based on the sample. And so you obviously didn't necessarily approach any user groups. This was generally drop-in or memberships, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And, okay, no, I'll leave it at that. I do have some demographic questions and sort of that sample base, but I'll leave it for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton.
Thank you. I'll come to you in a minute. Is this related to this topic? Yes. Then I will let you slip in shortly, briefly.
So gracious, Councillor O'Connor. Thank you very much. I too do not sit on this committee, but I did notice of your sample questions and the age demographics that there was one that was really, really low. That was the under 18. I think the mayor's question sort of related that, but it just so happens, now I didn't do this, this wasn't part of this, but I just received about 45 letters from kids from Riverstone School, and more than half of them expressed how much they love the Eastlink Center. So I'm just focusing on question 29 right now. Are there any improvements you believe would enhance the overall experience at CKC? And this is what the kids in the 11, 12-year-old range are saying. They said Eastlink Center is great. We wish we could bring the rope back more often to the swimming pool. We like swinging on the rope. They like that a lot. They said we wish we could expand the skate park outside. There's lots of kids that use it, and sometimes it feels crowded. So that's one of their suggestions. And the other one was more food court options inside the food court to reduce the lines and to give people more options. So that's 45 letters from grade 6 students at Riverstone School, and more than half of them all commented how much they like the Eastlink Center. I'm not sure if their teacher put them up to it, but to a varying degree, they said bring the rope back, expand the skate park, and more food court options for question 29. So if that captures anything there, you might be able to add it. I can show you the letters. They're right under my desk here.
Do you have a response to that?
Thank you, through the chair. That is exciting feedback. I would like to see kind of what was behind, bringing that information forward. Most certainly, those are things that administration can explore. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. It's important to hear from our youth. So I now will go to business. Who would like to make the motion? Councillor O'Toole.
I'll do it. I move committee receive this report for information.
That motion is in order. Call the question.
Councillor Bosch in favor.
carried unanimously. And the last piece of business will go to Councillor Blackmore.
I'm hoping, Ms. Redding, that you can explain this to me in a way that then I can explain it to other people when they ask. But when we have heavy smoke, such as last week, the pool closes, the East Lake Center closes, but other sporting facilities do not close. What makes smoke and air quality in the pool so much worse that we need to close it? How can I explain that to people?
Thank you for the question through the chair. So what happens in a wet aquatic environment, such as the size of the East Link Center's aquatic environment, is that the smoke molecules and the toxin that are in the air attach to the chloramines that are produced from the water activity. And so that doesn't dissipate. It attaches and it hangs. And so not unlike when you're in your shower at home, your shampoo smells stronger, or the chemicals that you're using can smell stronger because you're in that wet, heavy hanging type, moist, warm environment. And so with all of the activity and the water, on the surface, the water activities that are responding to the air quality, it hangs in there longer than it would dissipate in any of the other parts of the facilities. And so for our staff then, they are having to increase that air intake because they're having to wear masks then, and the environment for them just makes it that much worse. We didn't have a lot of information from the Life Saving Society last year that we could everyone was learning at the same time. And so this year there is a lot of information on the Life Saving Society website that I'd be happy to share. And if that's a question that we could put out to the community as well through, on the weekend, that one was quick and sudden. And so we'll prepare some more information that tells that story so that people can understand better. It's part of our strategy to improve communications and explain the why on a lot of the things that we're doing across the campus.
So I understand that the chlorine off-gassing that takes place from the water tends to hang right above the water. And so the recommendation is for athletes to swim anyway because it's not that detrimental. So what I understand you're telling me is that is exacerbated by all the other particles that are also hanging relatively low in the air volume of the building.
Okay, Councillor O'Toole.
Answer.
What's that? Sorry.
An answer.
Thank you, through the chair. Yes, and that was just much more eloquent. Thank you.
I've been struggling with this because I've had so many people last year and this year.
Well,
like some days it's better not to go to the gym.
Oh, I apologize for that. No, it's always good to be at the gym. Most certainly we can work on that explanation. And we talked last year a little bit about maybe an infographic. And so something that will help to explain that, I think, is what you're asking for. And I most certainly will take that back to the team. The other thing to consider, though, is our workers. So they're not in there for a short period of time. They're in there for those 4 and 5 and 8 hour shifts. And so what we do is we encourage them to increase the rotations off deck so that they can get into the guard room, and then increase their water intake and just reduce as much as they can the exertion on deck.
Okay. I think an infogram on the TVs would be great. Would be a great idea.
Thank you for that feedback.
Okay.
Thanks.
And before I go to Councillor O'Toole, I have a question. I'm wondering, has administration thought of using air scrubbers and whether or not they will work in that environment? It's a very large space, so you need a number of air scrubbers. But because of the moisture, I don't know if that's possible. Have you investigated looking at air scrubbing in that area?
Thank you, Chair O'Connor. We have explored air scrubbers with corporate facilities the first year that we experienced this, and I would prefer to have those experts speak to that, but we haven't used them since because we didn't get the result that we were hoping for. And in that aquatics environment, again, it's that moisture, that warm moisture that changes the outcome for those air scrubbers. One of the things that they did immediately in this scenario on the weekend was to turn down the air intake and close as many dampers as they can, but we can't completely lock it down. And so there still is an element of outside air that has to come into the building in that scenario. And so they corrected it as much as they could. And then as the outside air cleared up, then we were able to get facilities to turn those ventilation systems back up to regular speed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'll go to Councillor O'Toole and then Mayor Clayton, and then we need to move along. Oh, sorry. Councillor O'Toole.
Okay. I'm looking forward to the information that'll be displayed. I know I'm one of them people that people phone and say, hey, I stood in line, or I wanted to come to the pool, I come to town, and I can't go in. And so I don't know what to tell them other than, well, it's condensed smoke in a small room, and we got staff. So I kind of tell them the truth, but I'm very vague on the whole situation. And I know for a fact on Saturday I had a headache from the time I woke up till the time I went to bed, just from the smoke outside. So,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead. I guess there's no answer to that. Mayor Clayton.
Thanks, Chair O'Connor. I think it's really important to Councillor Blackmore's point to clarify that information, because we do talk and advise people to put on their humidifiers in their house. So they're assuming that humid air is actually better for you. So, we tell people right now there's smoke in the air, put your humidifier on in your house. Then people can't go to the pool, which would seem logically much more humid. So I think clarifying that would be really important. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. We will do so.
Okay. Thank you very much. This is your last opportunity, Mr. Thiessen.
You're a beautiful human, Mr. O'Connor. Thank you so much. Just a quick question. When in regards to this topic that Councillor Blackmore brought up and what we experienced this weekend, has administration researched an affordable capital solution within the building, like capital upgrades or anything like that, to help more with the airflow and to prevent all this smoke coming in and dampening the experience, let's say?
Ooh, dampening. Very good.
You like that?
Thank you for the question. So in the first year that we started to experience the smoke coming into the building, we most certainly did look at some of that with corporate facilities, but we're 3 years later, and so potentially something else has been created, and I will most certainly connect back with corporate facilities and see if there is a solution that we could implement.
Okay. Yeah, no, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And with that, we will move on to item number 9, outstanding items list. And Chief Lemieux.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So today we dealt with item 1294, FireSmart Initiatives, so we could remove that one from the outstanding items list. Thank you.
Okay, and looking to Councillor O'Toole.
Receive the May 14th outstanding items list as amended for information.
Call the question. And that carried 4 to nothing, so that carried. And so we will now call the meeting adjourned, and we will have 5 minutes? 4? 3.
Up to the next chair, not you.